Welcome back, ScreenRanters! Recently, the Marvel fans across the globe have been revisiting the MCU library over and over again. We know we have anyway. With that, previously missed Easter eggs and references are finally being located and given the respect and love they deserve. Today, we're going to look at some of the darkest and most emotional Easter eggs in the MCU's history. Some that point to the comics, other MCU films, as well as a completely different sci-fi saga.
Sure, okay.
So grab that cloak of levitation to dry your eyes with, and let's get started. Ever since 2016's Doctor Strange film, Marvel's introduction logo received an upgrade. You know the one. At the beginning of every film, we get a brief reminder that we're watching a Marvel film as their name comes up with inspirational music. Gone were the days of just having flashing images from comic books inside the letters. Now we get some images and clips taken from the MCU to highlight the main cast. This new intro carried on for Infinity War. However, Endgame was vastly different. Each of the characters that Thanos snapped away were missing in the opening logo. The still images of Black Panther and Peter Quill were gone. The clips of Doctor Strange, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, and so on were also replaced. Even Ant-Man was missing in the logo, but as we know from Endgame, he was A-okay. Wow. The Endgame filmmakers really wanted to remind the audience who was gone as we digest Hawkeye losing all of his family in the blink of an eye. One of the biggest characters missing in 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier was Iron Man. The second biggest was Hawkeye. Considering the film was all about the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., it would have made sense for Clint Barton to be running about firing arrows at Hydra, but alas, no such luck.
If you go out there, you fight, and you fight to kill.
So while Clint was doing Clint things, the film still managed to get a nice nod to the character. Throughout, Black Widow wears a necklace with an arrow in the design. Those fans that were shipping MCU Romanoff and Barton together celebrated. They now had their evidence. However, others just felt that it was a nice reference to Widow's best friend. The reason the necklace was in the film is down to Scarlett Johansson. She made the choice to include it to show that while Widow is a tough cookie, she also has people she cares for. The necklace also shows how deep their relationship goes in the follow-up film Age of Ultron. There we see that Black Widow and Hawkeye have a very close relationship. She was one of the few people that knew about Hawkeye's secret farm family. Now we just need to know what happens with them in Budapest. Answers in the comments, please! During Endgame, the remaining characters go on a time heist to grab hold of the 6 Infinity Stones/gems to thwart Thanos. Everyone's favorite rabid and only remaining member of the Guardians, Rocket, teams up with Thor, all to go back to Asgard during the events of the film Thor: The Dark World. Then they can extract the ether from the unsuspecting and rarely seen Jane Foster. While there, we can see that Rocket has added a new piece to his wardrobe, a red scarf. It's a bit of a strange choice. He's never worn anything like it before. However, it's the emotional attachment that's important here. Let's jump back into the past to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. In the film, Peter Quill finds out his daddy is a deranged celestial looking to rule the universe. Prior to that, though, the Guardians arrive on Ego's planet to find out more about him. Throughout the scene, we can see that Quill is wearing a red scarf, the exact same one that Rocket wears in Endgame. It's rather touching as Quill was dusted prior to Endgame. From films, comics, TV shows, and various other media, we've seen Uncle Ben kick the bucket many times. Until we got to the MCU Spider-Man. Uncle Ben is rarely mentioned in the MCU. At the point we're properly introduced to Parker in Homecoming, Ben has been out of his life for some time. Every so often, Ben will be alluded to, but nothing really concrete. Well, we got a pretty big sign in 2019's Spider-Man Far From Home. As Parker is packing for Europe, he contemplates popping in the Spider-Man suit just in case. So he slams his suitcase shut. That's where we see the reference. The suitcase has the initials BFP. Uncle Ben's full name is Benjamin Franklin Parker. Peter is using Uncle Ben's suitcase.
Done.
Due to everything on at the moment, many people are rewatching the MCU film library. As such, many are noticing Easter eggs that they hadn't seen the first time of watching. This one happens when Steve Rogers and Tony Stark take part in the time heist. The two popped back to Camp Leia in 1970 to find the Space Stone. In order to blend in on the army base, Rogers puts on a uniform.
You new here?
Not exactly.
We can see the name Rosco written on the fabric. This name alludes to the comic character Rosco Simons. In 1974, Steve Rogers gave up the Captain America mantle to become Nomad. So, Rosco went on to become Captain America. However, Rosco was eventually captured by the Red Skull. Once Skull realized it wasn't Rogers, he horribly hurt Rosco until he perished. Rogers was so affected by Rosco's demise that he took back the Cap identity to make sure no one else would be hurt by the Red Skull.
Wow, this is awesome. Captain America.
In the third act of Age of Ultron, during the final battle, Hawkeye helps a kid in order to help him get somewhere safe. However, Ultron in an aircraft rains bullets down at the Avengers. With nowhere to hide, Hawkeye and the boy look like goners, until Quicksilver spots them. Pietro Maximoff was hit by a number of bullets and he perished. At the end of the film, Barton had retired from the Avengers. He sent his BFF Black Widow a Skype call of their newborn in a onesie. The onesie had the baby's name written on it. His middle name is Pietro. He's named after the man who sacrificed himself to save his father's life. In Iron Man's first outing in 2008, we see a battle between Tony Stark and the Ironmonger. In the background, we see a massive building. On the building, in illuminated letters, it reads Roxxon Corporation. It was one of the first MCU Easter eggs for the comics. In the comics, since Roxxon is known for being an oil company, they're mostly portrayed as evil, not unlike real life. Yeah, political humor. Anyway, once Roxxon was taken over by Daniel Agger, that's when they upped their evil. Agger, who's actually a centaur, played a big role from Malekith's side during the 2019 comic event War of the Realms. The Dark Elves team laid siege to the Nine Realms. Everywhere they went, they obliterated or enslaved countless races, all in the quest of absolute power for the Lord of the Wild Hunt. As a result of association, Roxxon aren't too well liked by the vast majority. Their name is now connected to the brutal actions taken in the War of the Realms. When people think of Star Wars, they often think about Jedi, Sith, and lightsabers. They're kind of important to the whole mythos. Yet, there is another key element to the franchise: hands and arms being taken off. The most famous instance happened when Darth Vader sliced off Luke Skywalker's hand in The Empire Strikes Back. MCU overlord Kevin Feige is a big Star Wars fan. He's said to be, quote, obsessed, unquote, with the space saga. As such, he's incorporated the same removal element in most Marvel films. This all began with Iron Man 3 when Stark takes off extremist-filled Aldrich Killian's hand. Yet this macabre reference is especially apparent during Phase 2. Every film there has someone losing an arm or a hand in some fashion, either literally having an arm taken or by some magical illusion means if you're Thor in the Dark World. Feige has stated that the Star Wars nod wasn't intentional to begin with. However, it soon became very intentional. Feige would also include the obsession in later films in Phase 3, just not quite as prominent as Phase 2, but it was still used as late as Infinity War. We see Cull Obsidian lose one due to Wong's portal, and Groot when making the handle for Stormbreaker. In Captain America: The First Avenger, as Barnes is off to fight in Europe, he tells Rogers not to do anything stupid until he gets back. Rogers responds with,
"How can I? Taking all the stupid with you."
They use humor to deal with the very real possibility that Barnes may not return. This could be the last time the two see each other. The two then embrace. Fast forward to Endgame. After the Avengers have saved the universe and reversed Thanos' Infinity War snap, Rogers volunteers to nip back in time and replace all the stones they took during the time heist. Just before he departs, Barnes and Rogers share the same dialogue from the first Avenger, only with the lines reversed this time.
Don't do anything stupid till I get back.
They even embrace once again. Barnes knows what Rogers is about to do. He's going to live a long, happy life with Peggy Carter, as evident by Barnes saying he's going to miss him. Yet as far as we're meant to know, Rogers will be back in seconds. In Avengers Infinity War, the Guardians of the Galaxy arrive on Nowhere to stop Thanos getting the Reality Stone from the Collector. They promptly win, only to realize it was an illusion and Thanos already has the stone. Drax charges into battle against the Mad Titan, but he's turned into blocks of flesh and collapses to the floor. Mantis goes next, but she is turned into ribbons of flesh and also falls on the ground. Drax and Mantis are powerless to stop their grotesque transformation. We even see the fear in Mantis's eyes as she lays helplessly in a pile. It's pretty grim to say the least, but these haunting moments reflect the comics for the film's inspiration, Infinity Gauntlet story. During the event, Thanos has the Reality Stone in his possession. He then turns Eros, his brother, into blocks. The Titan also turns Nebula into ribbons. Drax and Mantis only turn back into their original form once the Titan has left with Gamora. It's far more colorful and whimsical looking in the comics. In the film, it's darker and unsettling. And that's a wrap. Which MCU Easter egg gave you the heebie-jeebies? Pop them into the comments below. If you thought the video was alright, then like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with our other content. Finally, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.